Welcome to Product Marketing Alliance. We're home to everything a product marketer needs to learn, share, and succeed in their role. The definitive product marketing course, Product Marketing Core, is the perfect platform for experienced product marketers to broaden their existing knowledge, as well as educate newcomers, beginning with their product marketing journey. Our community. We're home to more than 10,000 product marketers across the world, and every single day, tons of product marketing specific conversations go down. The community hasn't just been an absolute wealth of knowledge and answers, it's the place for constant inspiration. With a PMA membership plan, everything a product marketeer could possibly need is all in there, all in one place. Whether you want to grab a template, learn about how to become more strategic from product marketeers who've mastered it, sit back and watch hundreds of hours of presentations from some of the world's most trusted brands, our packages have got it all and more. We really are, dare we say it, the one-stop shop.
Hi everyone, my name is Liza Collin and I work with commercialization and strategy at a company called Visma. Now, companies today face an increasingly complex landscape when it comes to technologies, new methodologies, there's new roles that we didn't really know about before, and there's an increased silo structure that risks the innovation process. And it risks that the product marketing managers are not involved early enough. And what happens then? Well, companies might not be developing the right product at the right time, to the right segment, perhaps at the right price. So how do you get the different parts of the organization to see the full picture and include you and others in early enough to actually make a difference? Imagine if you had a structure that explained in an easy way how the collaboration actually takes place, or should take place, I should say, and how you can get earlier involvement from the key stakeholders. Because in order for real collaboration to take place and to speed up commercialization, the PMMs, I think, need to be involved much earlier in the innovation process. So today I'm going to be talking about a way that we've solved this in Visma, and I'm going to be talking about product journeys. So I work at a company called Visma. It's a leading cloud software provider in Europe. And we work with software that simplifies and automates the core business processes in both the private and public sector. And we have grown a lot in the past couple of years, and we're about 11,500 employees by now. And we've created a framework that enables better collaboration throughout the product journey and the innovation process, as we call it. And now I'm going to talk through a bit about how and why and what, and to explain to you how you can do it in your organization. So first of all, a little bit about what you can achieve. And one of the first things is that having a good way of organizing your full team can reduce the time of your cycle so that you can get the product out quicker. And it's also a way to actually get a clearer view of who is doing what. It can enable the communication to make it a lot better and bring the teams closer, which we've seen a lot. It also makes us more certain on the deliveries, that we're actually delivering the right product, which has a positive impact on the revenue and the product NPS. And it's also a way to actually explain what we're doing to other parts of the organization and to stakeholders, and visualizing that. So what is a product journey? Well, a product journey basically maps out the touch points throughout a product lifecycle, and it defines all the different activities. You might have heard about a customer journey, and there's quite a lot of similarities. Basically, if you look at the difference, a customer journey focuses on the interactions between a customer and the organization, whereas a product journey focuses on the product's relationship with the different parts of the organization. And if you combine these two, you get a really, really valuable insight when it comes to the customer's needs and hopes, their goals, and their expectations, as well as understanding the pain points within the organization as well as for the customer. So with this insight, you're able to actually deliver a better product with an earlier involvement of the key stakeholders. So the goals to have when you're having a product journey is to understand how the product journey, what it looks like today, and what the challenges are. And then what we're delivering and what roles are needed and when they're supposed to do what, and to identify the key areas of improvement. So a little bit about how to map the product journey first. So the first thing that you do is that you initiate the actual project, of course. So you define the target group and decide which KPIs you're going to have, et cetera, et cetera. And then you start with the actual workshop, and I'll explain that a bit later, where you map the actual product journey. And here it's really important that you have the right type of setup when it comes to the team, so that actually the whole organization is represented. And then you document the where and the why that the product development is slowed down, and what decisions are made, if it's the right stakeholders that are involved, et cetera, et cetera. And you're also documenting which touch points are actually working well. This is so we can ensure that they are kept. And then you look into what the ideal journey should look like and create an improvement plan based on this. So this is a little bit about what our product journey looked like. So what we did was that we started with looking into the innovation process. If you were to Google an innovation process, you would see that there's many different versions, but basically it all starts with an idea, right? So you have the idea, that idea is evolved, and then you build it, and then you bring it out to the customer. So we started breaking that down. So you look here in the blue area, you will see the initiative, the review, the implementation phase, and then you have the early availability and the general availability. And then, of course, scaling up. And then we'll look at the different activities a bit more in detail in the red part. And then we broke them down even more into the specific activities, meetings, and KPIs. We also looked at the output and actually a couple of different roles that I haven't included here, which actually went very much into detail on who should be doing what. I illustrated it like this. So this is basically the outcome. The different illustrations that you see here are the red squares that you have here up on the top. So just trying to break it down a bit more for you. I'm now going to go through the different parts of what we found in our product journey, a couple of those findings and what we've done with them, and then I'll explain a bit more. So the first part that we saw in our journey was that we needed to be clear on the why and to involve the right people when the idea was actually formed, so that we ensure that the idea is based on customer needs and their willingness to actually pay for this product and sees the value. This also needs to be documented in the correct way so that the rest of the organization actually understands from different standpoints what we're trying to do. So documenting it was something you could, for example, use business model canvas or a vision board to quite easily ensure that this is covered. But those models ensures that you're not only covering the product side, but also the commercial side. And again, here is where the product marketing manager is really important. The next step is to actually visualize this and bringing in the UXers as early as possible. And we want to make a conscious decision if we're actually going to continue with the product or not. So this decision should be made by the right stakeholders. So again, here, we needed to actually have a look at who is involved and who is making the right decisions here. It's very easy that the decision is made by product, but if we don't involve the commercial side, whereas you as a PMM is extremely important, then you might actually end up building something that doesn't have as much value on the market. Next step was the actual implementation phase. So here is where you're developing the solution of the product and starting the early marketing, of course, because what we probably all of you have noticed at some point is that marketing is involved a lot later than they should have. And especially when you have a new product, there might be a need to actually educate the customer base And it also gives you a really good opportunity to start testing the business idea through the research that you're doing. And you can get survey results from customers that you're speaking to. And that way you can determine whether this idea is actually worth pursuing and how much energy should be put into it. Because obviously this can lead you to an even better product market fit. Another thing that needs to start a lot earlier in many organizations was to look at the resources. Do we actually have the resources that will be needed when we're rolling out this product? And then, of course, pilot, get that MVP out there as early as possible to get some feedback. And acting on this feedback and evolving the whole management system when it comes to creating the feedback mechanism, that's something that is extremely important and something that I think many companies can work on. And here we also saw that the training needed to start even earlier, ensuring that both sales and support knew a lot earlier about the product, what to say, what to pitch, and how to explain it. Because as soon as you start talking about the product, the message is going to get out there. And a COM, for example, might get questions, even though that was not the product that they were there to sell. And then you have the product out there. You want to have the classical marketing, of course, and the sales activities. But here is really important to involve the customer journey experts. Because here we can ensure that we're delivering the product in the correct way and link the customer value to the operational drivers. What we do in Visma is we work with something called a market readiness checklist. This is to ensure that all different parts of the organization is actually ready to go before we click on the launch button. Let's take an example. If you work in, for example, a bank, you need, say, marketing and operations, credit perhaps, and IT, of course, to support the customer that is going to open a bank account. If not all of these different parts are actually ready when you're launching the product and start marketing it, then what type of experience is that customer going to get? So market readiness for us is extremely important to ensure that the whole organization, from the product out to sales, out to customer support and customer success, is in place. And the last part is about how we're actually keeping the product organization involved, whereas we as PMMs are focused on the cross sales and upsales. As many of us know, a customer is much more worth after the initial sale. So it's important that we also involve the product department to get them to feed you with new ideas, new possibilities, and new features that you can market as a product marketing manager. So here we continue with the communication with our customers and ensuring that marketing has the information from product to ensure the best campaigns. So that is a little bit about our product journey and a couple of the findings that we have made. So you need to create a fluid structure in which the day-to-day organization is organized into teams that actually cuts across different departments. So you can empower them to make these decisions, and so that the whole team can see from A to Z what is happening in the different stages. By involving, for example, you as a PMM already in the idea phase, you might be able to actually get a better business case, and that might be what is actually going to be the yes or no turning point for that product, because you probably sits with the correct information about what this is worth on the market. A little bit about the actual workshop then. So the first thing that we do then is to gather a team with participants from the different parts of the organization. So I usually gather someone from product, someone from the development area. I always have someone from sales and marketing and customer success involved. And then the different parts that are needed, let's say it's a product that needs heavy implementation, then you're going to need the consultants that are involved. This is, of course, up to each and every organization. And when you have set the group, you need to agree on the actual innovation process and the timeline and set that up. And then you start listing and I use Mural now when we're doing this online, as you saw before with the post-its. You can just start to talk about, okay, what are the activities that are needed? What different KPIs should we have on these activities? What expected outcome do we have, and who is doing what? What I usually do is that I take this through one stage at a time. So we talk about the idea phase first, and then we move our way towards the end. And sometimes I do this with just one department, just for them to open their eyes to what else is needed. And that has been actually really valuable. And then you have a discussion, of course, of what has been good and what should be improved here. Define what is the actual journey as it looks like today, and don't cheat. Make sure to actually be honest here before you continue and discuss what would the ideal journey look like. Then you can create the improvement plan and act on those. Prioritizing, of course, first you can do the low-hanging fruits, and then you continue much more with the high priority ones that might take a little bit more energy, but that might have really good impact in the organization. And the outcome then, well, this is going to give you a map of how your internal organization actually delivers today and what it should look like in the future. And you can identify what is working well and what needs to be improved. As I said, the low-hanging fruits actions, those might be, solved that day, whereas some of the other parts might take a little bit more energy, but might be really rewarding. And then you also have the fact that you have agreed about the KPIs. What I saw when I started with these workshops was that, for example, product might have a lot of involvement in the beginning, but they only talked about the measurements in the KPI in the end result, but they were not really responsible for all the end results. So another thing that we started talking a lot about was how we could have shared KPIs. So I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Illustrating the actual map is very valuable, I think, and it can look different, of course. So no two journey maps are the same. It depends on your company, maybe who is actually in charge of it. But the important thing here is that you have something that you can use and illustrate to the rest of the organization so that you can influence the business decisions and make your company more aware of what the actual organization is. And we talked about KPIs. So I actually believe that there should be much more shared KPIs within the organization. That means that different departments share the same goal. And there's one thing to share the goal of the revenue, but there might be other goals. And I put up a few different ones here that you might be inspired by. So it might be, for example, how many go and no go have we actually had to this year when it comes to new ideas? Or what is the time to day zero, meaning that when is it actually that a customer has a real value from this product? That is something that everyone in the company should be engaged on. What are the deadlines met? How have we solved the different roadmap issues? Have we solved them quick enough? What is the retention rate? All of these things are things that you can discuss and decide on together. Which ones are we going to prioritize? Is it the number of sold packages? Well, then perhaps product should also be measured on it. So my key takeaways when it comes to a product journey is to define first the as-is journey before you move over to the ideal journey. So don't cheat there. Involve the right people when you do this. So you don't do this by yourself. You have to have somebody representing the different parts of the organization. That also makes it easier for your buy-in when you're discussing this later. And keep the good parts and evolve the pain points. And this is very quick. There's very many books when it comes to customer journey. And I recommend adapting that when you're looking at the internal organization and how you can map the product journey instead. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out. Usually I will answer questions on LinkedIn, and you have all my information here. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.